Welcome back everyone to Let's Play and Let's Learn Rule the Waves. In the last episode we completed that huge battle against the Russians. We sank some of their battleships, well one of their battleships, but that's really the greatest accomplishment that we have to date in this game, in this Let's Play series. It was a pretty chaotic battle, but maybe one of my most enjoyable battles, just because, hey, it's just not every day that you get to sink a battleship. And putting the 4 torpedoes into it, you don't want to walk away from a battleship when it's sitting there because the displacement is so high they take a long time to sink. But having those 4 torpedo hits, I felt pretty confident we could walk away. Now, it was suggested to me to actually take a look at some of the ships, actual ships that other nations are building and such. So the first thing to point out is how to actually get to the screen. Typically, I look at nation data. I focus a lot, especially off camera, on trying to figure out what kind of research everyone's doing. The biggest thing for me is right now I'm looking to get the ability to do double turrets, double 6-inch turrets on the side. Right now it's impossible. It's not impossible, it just does the 20% rate of fire decrease. And I can't remember when that goes away. So I think it's a build ship design research that helps. It might be turrets and gun mountings, but I have both of those set to high on research. So, aside from your ship summary, you can also go to, your nation summary, which shows some interesting stuff such as your dock size. We can see who's got which dock size. Germany has larger than us. Great Britain has larger. France is larger. I don't really think anything above 34,000, which is what we have, is super necessary because every increase in displacement is an increase in cost. So if you're able to work out a way to, instead of increasing your dock size, instead decrease your tonnage, you're doing a lot better. Okay, so what we're looking at is this ships thing. And we can go to any nation and look at their current ships. What's even better is we can go to the sunk ships category. So I did lose that one minesweeper, which was only to an event, not in an actual combat. It was like the Nebraskan has been torpedoed, or was that blown up by, I think it was, we suspect Japan. I don't remember who it was. Was it France? Was it Russia even? I can't remember. So anyways, it led to it was an event, just a pop-up, a choice dialogue. Now we have, I guess, been to war with Germany, is one way of remembering. We can see that I don't think we ever faced any of Germany's ships, but remember that they start with only 11-inch guns. So it looks like they decided to build this, is this a Brandenburg class? Yeah, they decided to build the Brandenburg class at home. So they made it less than 14,000 tons, which I think is their dock size limitation, and they also made 11-inch guns. If they had chosen to start off this initial design over 14,000 or with 12-inch guns, they could have built it out of Great Britain, but I guess for whatever reason, Germany decided not to do that. Now this would be kind of a fun one to take on. It's only a 9-inch belt. Now remember, our starting only has 7.5-inch belt. But I have found, it's just my own personal opinion, I like to sacrifice armor for armament. I'd prefer higher gun quality than higher armor. Because ultimately, I think the only sure way to win is, a strong offense is a good defense. If you can just sink them faster than they can sink you, you're in good shape. But people could probably just make the exact same counter argument and say, well, then why don't you just have more armor? They can't sink you. Anyway, so this is the new German battlecruiser that they're building. 28,000 tons only for 4 12-inch guns. Pretty sad. The weird thing about this one is it's 16.5-inch belt armor. I'm very confused by this design. It's kind of interesting. They just went for armor, like a fortified turret, basically a floating turret. Actually has pretty good speed at 25 knots, but not nearly as fast as we're going to see. For example, Great Britain has this illustrious class, which is 28 knots. It's extremely fast. 8-inch belt, which I think is probably about appropriate for a battlecruiser. They also have 8 14-inch guns. Now, again, my question is, I'm not sure with this kind of layout if these guns can cross over or not, but it does guarantee that you're having at least 6 guns per side. So 6 14-inch guns is nothing to scoff at. That's pretty important. And 28 knots, again, is just really fast, ridiculously fast. If we look at, just close this and we just sort my ship by speed, which I had already done actually, that's faster than every ship in my entire armament, in the entire fleet. It's only not faster than my destroyers. And it's almost as fast as some of my destroyers. So that's really, 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 really fast. Which makes sense with the advent of oil burning. You know, it's going to make sense that those ships are going to get to be a lot faster. And definitely the idea of the battlecruisers is that they are supposed to flee anything they can't destroy, whereas your battleships are just, well, you know, we go toe to toe, we fight it out, we're expecting to just dominate the seas. This isn't a ship that can actually escape, but otherwise it can run down everyone else. So that's a pretty good design for a battlecruiser. I tried to make something myself, and it did not come out as successful, unfortunately. So we still have this massive budget, positive budget, which again, when this war ends, will probably be siphoned away from us. So because there's two things, let me go to my designs. Oh, well, let's finish looking at this first, and then we'll go to my designs. I think the French built something which was pretty nice. Was it this battleship? No, they went with 10 12-inch guns, which is still, this one for sure cannot fire on the opposite side. So it's exactly 8 12-inch guns per side. They consider that a dreadnought. I mean, what year was this built in? 1911? I don't think that's a very good design. I thought they had a decent design, though. It must have been someone else. Maybe it was Japan? Oh, actually, Russia, the people we're facing. I didn't know this, but this one is 31 knots. That's incredibly quick. You know, for having 6 12-inch guns, you can see that that's what we ended up sinking. Well, I guess we didn't sink the Russian battleship with our 12-inch guns. We kind of knocked it out of commission. I think we might have knocked out its power or something. When the ship power goes down, you can't do anything, can't fire your turrets or anything. Although, having seen that they were still firing at us, I'm not sure exactly if that's true. Maybe we just knocked out their engine temporarily with a hit. Anyway, 31 knots, what I'm trying to say is, I'm not sure if 12 inches is high enough to really be effective in the later game. We got lucky that it worked out for us in the last fight. But having 31 knots means that, yeah, you're faster than almost any ship in the game, including destroyers. So this is the exact situation. Now, if you don't have sight, if you don't have a great amount of visibility, 31 knots is not going to do you a whole lot of good, because you'll end up being right next to the ships, and at that point, they're going to have a chance to fire at you no matter what. The good news is you'd still be able to escape pretty quickly. So 31 knots, I don't know. I would actually, if I were them, I would have sacrificed 31 knots, brought it down to 28, 29, which is still incredibly fast. But those 2 extra knots, I mean, the speed gets more and more expensive. The horsepower you need to go that fast gets more and more expensive in terms of tonnage the faster you're going. I mean, it's a non-linear increasing scale, so it's probably some kind of, I don't know what exactly the scaling would be, but non-linear for sure. So the extra 2 knots probably could have gotten a lot. I don't know what you would have done with it. Maybe better armor. In my opinion, this is just kind of weak, having 6 12-inch guns, especially on a battlecruiser which is built so recently. All right, Japan, they have this, which I can't view yet because it's still building, but 30,000 tons for a battlecruiser. It's incredibly, incredibly big. Then they all had their original design, which I'm assuming was built at Great Britain, because I don't think the Japanese have access to 12-inch guns. But maybe they do with 14,000 tons, because they would have built it larger than 14,000 tons if they could build it in Great Britain, I think. Lastly, we have Italy, and they have, is it this the one that's fast? Oh, this is 21 knots as well. And this has 8 12-inch guns. So this is basically, I consider this a better design than the Russians, just because even though it's 2 knots slower, it's going to bring, well, I guess it's going to bring, I don't know if these fire across or not. If these fire across, then it's going to bring up to 8 12-inch guns to bear. But if not, then yeah, I guess the Russian design is better. Because 8-inch belt versus what was this one? 8.5, yeah. Yeah, very silly. I don't know why you would use that other design if you can't fire across, so they must, right? Huh. But I've never designed a ship with that specification, so I don't know. Okay, guys, so that's all what the enemy ships are, what the other nations are building. And now I'll bring up briefly my designs, which aren't good, by the way. I'm actually kind of like, well, I don't want to build these because they're not good. Let me open up the Montana, which is just the revised Montana. This is if I wanted to go with a battleship. I was thinking about this as a possibility. So this is probably the better of my 2 designs, probably the better one, the more likely for me to build if I was to build something. I'm going with 15-inch caliber because 16, 14, those are all quality 0 or quality -1. I mean, the 16-inch is quality -1, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have gone with that. But the 15-inch gun is still really sizable. I don't think you need much more. I mean, if I remember correctly, in World War II, the biggest guns used were the 16-inch ones. Maybe I'm wrong. Was it the Arizona class? I forget. The Arizona itself, though, didn't it have 16-inch guns, but most people had only 15-inch. Like the Bismarck, I think, had 15-inch. It's either that or I'm mistaking that with 18-inch, but I think I'm right. Anyway, World War II is something I usually know a little more about, but I'm drawing a blank on that. Suffice to say that I think 15-inch on a battleship, on a dreadnought at this point, at 1913 is pretty good. 15 inches is always going to be relevant. The quality in this game only goes up to a max of 18, so you can't go any higher than that. Meaning that 15 is going to be it's going to be relevant for the rest of the game no matter what. Now we're going to have director firing at 130 rounds is more than I think you need because these guns are a little bit slower firing, being the higher caliber. And on top of that, I wanted to leave a little bit of room. The reason why I added these rounds, I could really just drop this and then maybe save myself a really almost insignificant cost. But the reason I have the extra rounds is because I wanted to build in a little bit of space for eventually changing fire control to improved director, and maybe if this ship lasts that long, to advanced director, which I think are the last two fire controls. Now, once you get improved director, you're hitting a lot more often than even director, and director is itself a huge step up from central firing. So if I was at improved director, I don't think I would even upgrade mine to advanced director. Well, fire control is still the most important part of the game, in my opinion, so maybe I would. Anyway, so these rounds per gun with 15-inch guns are, you can see dropping this once saves me 80 tons. That's how expensive these rounds are. So I have that built in. I was even considering I could drop it down to try to get an extra knot. Not really worth it. I was originally at, I think, how much would 10.5 is still too much. Because you still want to have probably around at least 110, 115 rounds per gun. Especially with the higher speed, 21. I mean, that's not super high speed compared to what all the other ships in this time are going to be doing, but it's at least high speed compared to other battleships, dreadnoughts. That means that I should be able to take the fight, try to keep them at range, although I normally don't, because when you actually do try to stay at range, you're putting yourself in awkward angles where you can't fire with all your turrets. So I've been saying that that's an idea, and it's certainly what you have to do with your battle cruisers, which should actually sacrifice armor. But you can see that this one already has pretty low armor. That's definitely one of the disadvantages. Lower armor than that German battlecruiser for sure with, what was it, 16.5 inches? It's just ridiculous. If we look at gun data, we'd be able to penetrate that 16.5 inch if we closed in. So that's good. Unfortunately, his 12 inches I'm sure would be able to penetrate us because we're not dealing with too much armor here. Basically, my philosophy on this was to have enough armor to stop anything but the heaviest of shots. So I think this can stop anything but, okay, let's just drop this down to 12 inch real fast so I can see what the gun data is for that. And this is quality 1 12 inch. So quality 1 12 inch can penetrate even 11 inches of belt armor at 12,000. So you can see it's so hard to build enough armor to stop the penetration, which is why I think ultimately I'd rather just inflict more damage per hit. So the 15 inch, regardless of penetration, if a 12 inch penetrates, regardless of the chance for it doing that, even though 15 inch is more likely to penetrate, 15 inches will still do significantly more damage when it penetrates. I mean, if it penetrates, but it's more likely to penetrate. And if it does penetrate, it'll also do much more damage. So that's not a probability thing, that's just a fact that it will do more damage. Okay, so this is the ship I had in mind, but ultimately, I thought a lot about it, and I really just want to build more of these beautiful Baltimore classes who have already done great work for us. I think we'd be well off with some more light cruisers because they do a lot of work in these wars. And I think with the torpedo technology going the way it is, if I'm not mistaken, these have 2 submerged. Okay, that's not as I thought that they had some mounted on the center line, but they don't. Ultimately, I can always just go for this kind of a scrappy guerrilla type fight where I end up doing a lot of torpedoes with destroyers and chasing around the other ships with my light cruisers. I don't know. Basically, I don't have all or nothing armor, which is what I really want for battlecruisers, and you'll see, because you don't need to put belt extended or deck extended, you end up saving so much space. And it just makes me really, really reluctant to choose this this Montana battleship. Okay, why is that? Let me show you exactly why I'm saying that. Oh, let me also show you the battlecruiser I designed, which is hideous. So I was thinking of a battlecruiser, why don't we go with our quality 1 12-inch weapons, which will keep the displacement down a bit more. I only got 26 knots out of this. Actually, I could easily make this 27, probably by finagling some numbers, maybe lowering the rounds. I think I can make this 27. We'd be able to squeeze it somehow. Anyway, I just don't like this design at all. It's the same principle, 3 in the front, 3 in the back, 2 in the middle for 2 of them. That's the same exact design as my Montana. I do like that design, but I mean, just for the specs, I don't know what to say about it. So that's why I just prefer the Montana. If I was forced, if my hands were tied and somebody told me you absolutely have to build a new one now, I think I would lean towards the Montana because it is a decent dreadnought. The main disadvantage of it, I think everything about it is pretty good except for having secondary guns not in turrets yet, which means in choppy water you'll be disadvantaged. And the second thing is definitely its armor is a bit low. Now, its armor is high enough so that the only thing that can be affected by any kind of small fire is the deck extended and possibly the belt extended. Like if we were up against light cruisers or destroyers, besides worrying about torpedoes, which we did get torpedo defense, but the only thing we'd have to worry about is maybe getting belt extended hits. Even our secondary with 4 inches of armor, these are not, I don't think it's susceptible even to 6 inches. Let's just pretend real fast that we bought 6-inch guns on this. What's the gun data? Yeah, so at 8,000 feet they penetrate 4 inches, so that means that the secondaries are susceptible to their secondary fire, but that's fine. Anyway, I like the Montana better. That's the long story short, if I had to build one. But since I really am still enamored with the Baltimore class. Let's bring that one up if I can. There you go, there it is. So here's our wonderful Baltimore class. It's real steady, I really like it. Still can bring 6 guns to fire on each side. The torpedoes, we've seen them not used very often. Probably less likely. Now, with torpedo technology being as effective as it is, one thing would be nice to do is to actually add more torpedo tubes to this, but I don't think you can do that in refitting. Let's actually find that out right now. Can we add more mounts? Can we add 2 more? Whoops. Of course, it's going to say we can only have 1 per tube. And what if we were to replace machinery? Lower this. Is this allowed? It actually is. Wow, so fantastic. If we wanted to do a remake to this Baltimore class, we could actually do it. And then I suppose we could actually build the Baltimore Mark IIs out of this. That's an idea. I don't think we'll be doing it. Oh yeah, they don't have director firing yet. So that's a good thing to wait for before we decide to update our Baltimores, is to wait for director firing. Because one thing that's going to happen is eventually we'll be able to get director firing on secondary guns, and I think that happens at the same time as light cruisers are able to use director firing themselves for their main guns. All right, so yeah, like we have this huge money, we just got to do something. So I guess we'll just go ahead and commission the Montana. It's not my favorite, it really is not, but it's something, and something is probably better than nothing at this point. It's not that I'm super displeased with it, it's a bit too glass cannon. Okay, well what if we just decided to make it not so glass cannon? What if we increase this to 10? See, just to get to 10.5, it seems, is that really necessary? What is 10.5 going to do versus 10? Let's see how much, did I even show you the cost? Let's cancel this real fast. I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but yeah, the cost of these ships is extreme. So that battlecruiser with only the 12-inch weapons, same kind of design as the Montana, maintenance cost of over double what our old battleships cost. Let's go back. Let's just take the most modified North Dakota. This one has 205. I think they're all basically 205. This one was 215 for some reason. 213, whatever. But with some refits, I guess, whatever happened. maintenance costs decreased. Then you get to this battlecruiser, which is over double. Is it really worth 2 of my old battleships? No, definitely not, because it only has 12-inch weapons itself. Now this Montana class you could say it's feasibly worth more than double. Is it worth 2.5 times? Gosh, I mean, if you put 2 of my North Dakotas up against 1 of my Montanas, I don't think the Montana would win. It's just too much fire down on one ship. Now, if the Montana did score any hits, it'd probably sink something, but it'd be a glorious ship to build, though. But this is 507,000. It's just an incredible amount of money per turn. And that's something that I have to consider after I build these eventually. When I next turn, the moment I actually build this, let's wait out one more turn. Okay, let's do that. Let's do it that way. So, good. We spent basically 20 minutes on doing nothing. We'll actually go ahead and advance now. Oh, well, great. So enemies gain 100 victory points. I don't even know where we've invaded. Okay, that's fine. We're probably going to have a few of these like this because they're all in neutral ports since they're all damaged. Okay, the Russians sank 1 ship. We sank 1. We sank 3. We sank 8. Wow, 11. So 11 to 1. That's very impressive. And the Russians have now laid down a new ship. Well, that kind of makes sense considering we just destroyed their battleship. Kind of be interesting in seeing. I should have been doing this a lot more often, so thanks to Frederick for asking me about this. It's something I just totally forgot about. So yeah, now that I remembered it, it's like, yeah, let's use this a little more. So 27,000 ton ship. My Montana was about 32,000. So what I was hoping for here is to actually get some better technology. We're just basically all or nothing armor away from building some really good ships. In the meantime, I'm going to just build some more of these guys, it's true, because I don't know. I don't want to accumulate too much money, and these are not bad ships, so there we go. Getting some new names out of it. Maybe build 2 more. Just because I don't want to... I didn't see what that one... Charleston. I saw Charleston. That's fine. 1 more. That Montpellier. There. We'll choose that. Okay, good. So now we're negative. That'll be a little bit helpful. Makes me feel a little bit better, just in case the war comes to a quick conclusion. We could also build some more of these destroyers. Now, I did also design, I should show you, a new destroyer. What was it, the Paulding? Yes, it was the Paulding. And this is my idea, but I was like, you know what? It has 1 gun, which I'm okay with, totally okay with. There was 2 guns originally, but I sacrificed it for a little bit of extra speed because, in my opinion, the destroyers are just going to be glorified torpedo boats at this point. So there's the guns, they have no armor. If they're going to be getting into engagements and they're not using their torpedoes, it's just a bad thing anyway. And the 4-inch fires fast enough that it's fine. I think it's even better to have more, because you can kind of send your torpedoes in later as well if the enemy ship is already kind of running out of ammo. That's when you make your torpedo runs, of course, but you can also at that point actually chip away at that. In which case, having 1 gun with more rounds might be better than 2 guns. Okay, so this is what it looks like. I don't think it's a good design to build because it does have 3 triple mounts for the torpedoes, which is, 3 double mounts. So this means I can fire basically 6 torpedoes on each side, which that's really nice. It's, like I said, a glorified torpedo boat, but 32 speed is not what I want. I want better speed than that, and I can't figure any way. There's nothing we can really play with here. I already went engine priority speed. If I do oil, it barely helps at all. We can't even get another speed out of that, so I don't really care. Having the coal, which I guess slightly protects the engine because of the coal bunkers, it seems nice to me. And you just get so little out of switching to oil on these small ships that it wasn't worth it to me. Another thing I could have done is gone short range. That does give me a chance to do more speed, but I already have my short range destroyer, so I don't want another. Anyways, this is another one I'm going to keep in the back pocket. I basically would be content. Maybe I should even be content with just taking off one of my double mounts, having only the opportunity to fire 4 torpedoes on each side. No, I know I would much prefer 6 torpedoes. These should be torpedo boats. But I would like to get speed maybe around 34, so we'll wait a little bit longer on that. Okay, that being said, oh, we can see that I muffed up the descriptions. Let's get this. Let's see what kind of people. Alright, so we have a raider who needs to be moved back. Okay, let's check. Northern Europe, you'll have to move back as well. Let's move you to the West Coast just because your maintenance cost technically should be lower on the West Coast. And we also have Northern Europe, this one. Move you to the Caribbean. And another Northern Europe, we will also move you to the Caribbean. Can't believe this episode's already coming to a close. We just talked about ship designs the whole time. That's fine, I guess. It's about time to update ship designs, 1913. 1915 is where I usually do my second round of battleship building, but I wait a little bit too long to do the second round of building, just because I min-max a little bit too much on that. Okay, let's see how our statuses are doing now. These are all the stars, and they are all good. Okay, good. Who else do we have in Northern Europe? If we have anybody else left in Northern Europe, I don't think we need anybody to stay there. See, these destroyers, everyone else got interned, so let's just go ahead and move you all back. I'll leave the minesweeper there, actually, because we do want to kind of decrease the mines. That'll possibly help protect our raiders. I don't know how it'll work, so, but we'll move them back. Okay, let's advance. 3 more, 3 more. Okay. 6 to 4. Okay, and the Olympia. Well, we'll fight this one. The Olympia is the old class, of course, but we can see that these are pretty effective still. Alright, so the gray means mist, which means I guess visibility will be pretty small. That's not terrible, just outside of fire range. Just outside of... Oh, that's torpedo range, actually. Okay. Yeah, this could be troublesome, but I trust our Olympia. Looks about the same size as us. That's a good sign. Let's go to max, just to get our speed burning up. Wind is moving downward, so we want to stay on the bottom side of the ship. Okay, we haven't identified yet. We're both probably moving 16, so that's fine. They're firing at us. That should be an indication we can fire at them. That's CL. Is it truly a CL, though? If it's another Russian CL, then this is exceptional news. We've straddled them already. Let's get this open a little more. Ah, it's Svetlana. Yes. So we've already taken down a few Svetlanas. Let's go ahead and try to increase that number by 1 more. Okay, can we do this quickly? Maybe not. Okay, that's 1 hit. Let's stay on course. I don't want to change the course right after we hit. Okay, now it's appropriate, I think. How fast is Svetlana's? 22. So they can't outdistance us. Near miss. They're firing more at us. Let's try to get more of our weapons, bring more of our weapons to bear. A hit. Another hit. Good. Now I think we're more on target. Another hit. Good. Not that we've done that much damage yet. Light damage. That makes sense. Another hit. Now we're starting to work on it. Okay. They're turning. Okay. Do wait a little bit of time after a hit, because we don't want to change course right after you hit, because it kind of decreases your chances of hitting. And when you're on target, actually hitting them already, you have a greater chance of hitting them again. Okay, push on. Oh, 2 hits actually, 1 for us and a near miss for them. Another hit. How are we doing? Light damage. Probably we can just go like this. Okay, we hit. That's right, I do have it to pause on every hit, so every time we hit, we'll just pause again. should be catching up though. I mean, considering our speed is faster than theirs and we're deciding to go at flank speed. Okay, good. This might be the start of a series. There we go. 2 more. Excellent. Another one. Another one. Good. Hold our course just to help our people hone in. It didn't help towards the end there, so okay, here we go. Wait for the next series of hits. All right, another one. We're only firing 1 because the angle's not good, but another one. Okay, switch back. Looks like she's taking some damage now. Heavy damage, it says. Another hit. The good news about us zipping back and forth, crisscrossing, doing our zigzag, is that we do take advantage of both of our guns, so our ammo won't be getting low quite as fast. It wouldn't be a bad time for us to launch torpedoes. I wonder if, I don't think this helps. This usually is like a signal to your to your destroyers to go attack. But I wonder if I can force us to, oh, we probably can't launch torpedoes because our speed is so high. I think you can only launch submerged torpedoes at 22 knots and lower. That's also something that we have to be careful about, that we don't ourselves get hit by a torpedo. Oh, that was a good one. So let's definitely stay on course. Another hit. 2 more hits. That was a very effective. Are they? Oh, it says heavy damage. Yeah, I guess they don't have that much smoke. So let's go ahead and actually lower ourselves to 22 so we can start releasing some torpedoes. We have 1 on each side. That's, you know, it only takes 1 hit to sink her, right? I should be careful, of course, because it only takes 1 torpedo hit for us to also get sunk. This is a good series. We're really dialing in the range now. So we have 50%. Oh, she's still firing. Belt extended. Okay, that's probably enough on our current heading just because torpedoes. Man, let's slow down to 21 just to really try to provoke those torpedoes. And let's try to stay downwind. Two more hits. Oh, good. So we didn't even need to launch our torpedoes. This one's already sinking. Great. So we took light damage, another major victory for us. Fantastic. Yeah, these are coming really fast and furious. We're going to have, I would say, an amazing victory over the Russians. This victory point totals very impressive. All right, so quickly let's check. We have this one, which is still on its way to the Mediterranean. No. No, move to Southeast Asia. I don't even own a colony in the Mediterranean, do I? No. Why would I move there for foreign station? Strange. Okay, so let's check and see who else is... We have these 2, Southeast Asia and the Caribbean, that's fine. Basically, I'm just waiting for this war to drag to an end. I don't even mind if I try to blockade or do anything to them. It doesn't matter. At this point, the only thing that matters is just stay the course. Try to get some extra technology so we can build some new ships. That was unexpected. I guess we'll increase our tensions with Germany just because I don't want to take any more prestige hits. And we could go to war with them, I suppose. Yeah, so I'm not worried about this. Unrest levels 2, we should be okay. With the few amount of hits we'll be taking, still nothing bad on the status. We can just push forward to another turn. Okay, that's fine. Fleet tactics, not important. 5 to 5. And we're actually doing enough to cause food shortages in Russia. That's just going to help our victory points even more. Well, it's 35 minutes. I guess we'll call this episode to a close. So kind of more of a ship design one. If you guys have any advice for me as far as ship designs go, considering our current technology, just remember, we don't have the best naval guns yet. I would prefer to stay away from quality -1 guns because I prefer not to have to refit my ships very quickly. I don't know, maybe there's some merit to even having a 13-inch gun battle cruiser. I've never experimented with 13-inch guns at all. So, other than that, you can take a look one more time at my Montana class, which is the closest thing I think to something acceptable to build. And we could get this up to 10.5 inches if we just did this. I think that gets us up to 10.5. Did one drop of this. It's fine. So we could do this. That's basically probably the next best suggestion. All right, but until the next episode, in case you have any ideas, actually I might be recording the next video pretty quickly, but if you have any suggestions, I'll take them into account as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, and take care.